Hello everyone, welcome back to Slice Coasters Podcast with your host Brad the Water Parker, and today we are going to be talking about my top 5 haunted houses at theme parks. This is something I've been wanting to do for a hot minute. Of course, there's not a lot of theme park haunts open currently. I do know that there are some down in Florida, which I am extremely jealous of you right now. I'm going to tell you, I wish I was down in Florida right now. However, I am stuck in Cincinnati, and with that being said, we're going to talk about my top 5 haunted attractions, and mainly these are from Not Scary Farms and Halloween Horror Nights 2019. Everyone gives Halloween Horror Nights 2019 a bad rap, but I honestly loved it. I loved the theme, I loved the design, I loved everything, and we're going to kind of break everything down here in a moment, but I want to really quickly do an honorable mentions moment, just because I want to talk about 2 very, very close haunted houses in my heart. And those are Trail of Terror and as well the Urgent Scare. These are both at Kings Island's Halloween Haunt. Trail of Terror is no longer active. It's no longer there. It was originally where the Dinosaurs Alive location is currently. Well, not anymore. Where that was, where some of Orion is now. As well, a little bit where the Cornstalkers is now. Excuse me. That is near the queue line for it, that is. Then as well, Urgent Scare. Urgent Scare is one of those attractions that it has a really cool audio effect outside. I love the, I guess you call it the OST. They got a really cool horn effect, which I've been trying to find for the longest time. As well, they have a really nice layout and just theme overall. So, it's really cool. I like the theme. I like the effects. It feels like you're in a kind of a zombie war zone outside, and then you get inside, and, it feels like you're in a hospital. It feels like, something's up, something's not right, definitely in this area. So, with that being said, let's start off with number 5, Dark Ride. What is it? Castle? They call it Dark Ride Castle of Chaos. We're going to call it Dark Ride for the sake of this podcast, just because Knott's has it on their official walk little advertisement for it, Dark Ride. So we're just going to call it Dark Ride for right now. Dark Ride is basically where, this old carnival place, where it's a dark ride that's old and decrepit. Of course, it has like a little tiny groove, a painted on groove on the floor for the dark ride to go through. It's kind of become a place where a bunch of these demented and twisted carnies have taken up residence, and they're just, harassing and attacking people, just throwing it into chaos, like the name implies. You walk on through, and it feels like you're actually walking through a very dark, very old dark ride, and it's very well themed. Don't get me wrong. In fact, in all honesty, I wish it was actually a dark ride, because the theming is just incredible. As well, not to mention the fact when you go and look at the details and you look at the scares and everything, of course, you walk through these classic scenes like a vampire scene, a Merlin wizard scene. You have like a evil carnival scene, which we'll get to that later, graveyard scene. But you actually go through the backstage as well, so you get to see kind of the backstage of this little dark ride, which I really enjoyed one of them because there was actually like a little workshop area. Where they're working on one of the cars that go through the track, which there are several cars in the way when you walk through this attraction. They have a lot of really great scares. I'm going to tell you right now. There's a monkey dude running around that I really like. There is a Grand Carney, like the headmaster Carney, who's really cool. He actually is really active in the main carnival section, where like it's a demented circus. It's a very open floor plan in that room. A lot of area to move, but at the same time, there's not a lot. It's really weird to say. It's kind of like an oxymoron. There's a lot of territory, but you can't really move. And plus, you actually go through that room twice because it's so freaking large. To where you go make a left and you go through like a little backstage area, and there's a little button that the Carney guy will make you press or not make you press. And you walk on through, then you go on out, and then you go through a control area. But something else I want to mention here is the couch gag, which I'm not going to tell you guys what exactly is a couch gag, but all I'm going to say is that you should really look out for that. That was a really nice little effect. Just in general, Not Scary Farms has some really nice haunts, especially when it comes to theming, when it comes to the layout and theme and story. You know, with every single haunt, you'll find this throughout my review. I am a huge theme, scare, and story guy. If you don't have all three, I'm not going to like it. If you have all three, I'm going to love it. What you're going to see throughout this list, they all have this theme. They all have the story. They all have the scares. They all have everything. Because every single one actually scared me. All the rest of the theme park house I've been to, not really. But these have definitely scared me. So definitely Dark Ride is a attraction that you really should go check out. It is definitely worth your time. Moving on over to the opposite side of the park at Not Scary Farms, we're going to talk about Origins, Curse of Calico, which is a very, very interesting haunt because at the outside there's actually a guy talking, saying, yeah, you know, Sarah Marshall. You know, Sarah Marshall's this witch, she's evil, we're going to hang her, you know, we're going to put her on trial, and just a story of what's going on in Ghost Town currently, and the story of Calico. I thought this was a really, really well done attraction. You know, you start off in the courtroom where she was sentenced, and she basically says that I'm going to lay a curse on you all, that you're going to have to walk the streets of Calico, walk the street of Ghost Town. You know, this is going to be forever. I thought that was really cool. You know, just kind of giving you some of the story. And then you start walking through the town, you know. You start walking, not through the town per se, but, you know, in the smaller little set scenes that they have. You know, you walk on through, and there's, like, you walk on into this one point to where you're actually, like, in a street, you know, like a side street. And, you know, it feels like you're actually outside, but you're not. You're under this porch, and there's, like, a blue light going on. There's another porch. So you're walking on through, and there's ghouls, there's ghosts. You walk through the inn. You know, it's like there's a lot of ghosts in there, too. And then you come on back out into that scene, and there's a witch hanging tree, which I thought was really nice because it gives you a little bit of the story of, okay, this all happened within the city limits. All the things that happen in Calico, in Ghost Town, this is all here. Everyone's here. And then you walk into like the semi-mine area, and then you go into the underground of Calico, the underground of the ghost town. Now, here is where you will find a catawampus. Well, before you get there, you go through a little bit of a crypt, then you go through like, you know, like, I guess this gateway into the underworld, and that's where you see the catawampus. Now, the catawampus, if you guys don't know, is this almost extinct animal that resides in Calico in Ghost Town at Knott's Berry Farms. You'll actually be able to find them outside, and they're actually really cute. I would definitely buy one and put it outside in my garden if I could. But, you know, there's a legit catawampus that actually scares you. There's several, actually. And as you go through, like, this underworld cavern area, you know, you're seeing all these ghoulish entities walking around, attacking you. You know, it's very dark, very cramped, very decrepit. This all comes up to a point where you're in, like, this area where it opens up. You know, you're in a canyon. And above you, there's a witch hopping around the canyon. Hopping over you, even, at some points. I thought that was an amazing, amazing effect. Because it kind of shows that she has power. She's still roaming. She's still out there. She's still, you know, ready to get you. And she does not want you to leave at all. I thought that was a very, very nice effect. I thought in general, you know, the theming, the layout, the design, you know, you experienced the witch. You experienced the Curse of Calico. You understand why things happen. You understand how things happen and where things have gone and just how close to home it is. I mean, it's really fascinating. It's a really well done attraction. I think that if you're going to go to Not Scary Farms, you have to go into Origins Curse of Calico. Moving on now, we're going to move on over to Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Now, this is at Halloween Horror Nights over at Orlando. I did not go to Halloween Horror Nights over in Hollywood just because I did not hear good things about it. I'm not going to lie. So I went on ahead and I did Halloween Horror Nights down in Orlando. And I knew for a fact I had to do it this year because they had things like Stranger Things, they had Ghostbusters, they had Killer Clowns from Outer Space. You know, they had a lot of really interesting IPs to go and work with. And Killer Clowns from Outer Space is my favorite horror film. It's one of my favorites because it's a horror comedy. So, you know, Killer Clowns, you know, you go through and you get to go through like the big top tent. You're kind of walking around there, and then you're walking around a story. So, you know, again, when you go into a haunt, and when you already know the story, you should be able to live that story in the haunt. And you do. You get to see the scene where there's the puppets. You know, there's the, the wall puppet scene where the shadow eats the people. You know, there's clowns running all over the place. You know, there's clowns here, clowns there. They're always there to scare you. There's a scene with the puppet, you know, the police officer being the puppet. I thought that was really nice. I thought that was really neat. One of my most favorite scenes, though, was, you know, the big master puppet, the big giant dude. I think that was really cool. Because you get to see some of the guys who are in the ice cream truck. They're kind of like, hey, get out of here, run, run. Which is a part of this, you know, of the movie. And then, of course, at the very end of the maze, when you go into the final room, it's the cotton candy area, where they make people into cotton candy and they put them into, like, balls and such. They are actually playing the song Killer Clowns from Outer Space, which I love that song. In fact, I have it on my holiday playlist, my Halloween playlist. And I thought it was just really nice because there's like statues, then there's legit people in there. It's just very nice, very well done, very amazing. I think the whole entire thing, if you're to go and look at the story's there. If you've never seen the movie, you can see the story. If you are going for the thematics is there. There's buttons all over the place, you know, just like what you'd think in a carnival. You know, again, the clowns, they're very carny. They love jokes. They love to attack people and bring them back into their circus tent. So I think there's a lot of cool things to do with Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I thought it was an amazing, well done attraction. I thought that they really hit it out of the ballpark. Nevertheless, you know, when you go and look at the detail that they did for something that they're only going to keep up for that season, it's amazing. It's beautiful. I absolutely loved it. All the clowns were there. All the main clown individuals that you see from the movie that you love and enjoy, they're all there. It's really enjoyable. It's really amazing. Definitely, I'm smiling about it because I love that thing. I love Killer Clowns from Outer Space. And that's true for Universal in general. You know, Universal's haunts, and we'll take a brief time out here for a second. Universal's Halloween Horror Nights, you know, it's about going into the movies, about going into the effects. You know, they have some amazing haunts there, don't get me wrong. But I feel like, you know, when we're talking about Killer Clowns from Outer Space, when we're talking about Ghostbusters, which we'll talk about here in a second, they are very different than what you got with something like Stranger Things. Stranger Things last year, I enjoy Stranger Things. I love Stranger Things. I love that movie. I love the show. I've watched the whole entire show. I'm excited for the next season. However, it's kind of like when you go and look at Stranger Things, I feel as if the story was there, yeah, but there was no scares. You know, I didn't feel like there was a bunch of scares for me to go and walk through. It felt more as if it was a advertisement for the show rather than a legit haunted attraction. So that's kind of my main issue with some of these. Again, and I didn't really care for Us because I didn't really care for the movie. But, you know, in general, I think that, again, Universal overall in general has amazing haunts, which we're going to hop into our next one here, Ghostbusters. Now, Ghostbusters, again, another classic. I love it. I've got Ghostbusters' main song in my my Halloween playlist. I absolutely love it. This is another one that I really enjoy, that I really loved. Again, when you're walking on through, you start off with a library scene. There's a lot of special effects that I really liked. And just in general, like, again, you walk through the story. You know, you go on into the main office and, you know, you got the receptionist, she's calling, she's having a bunch of calls about, you know, there's a bunch of ghosts happening all over the place. So you walk on through, you go on into the city of New York, you know, and there's a bunch of ghosts here and there and everywhere, which I absolutely loved. I loved it because you actually got to see the ghosts. They walked on out, they scared you. You know, again, and it felt like you're in the movie. It really did. It felt like you're in the movie. You walk on into the hotel where Slimer is. Slimer, you know, they actually have a projection of Slimer coming at you. And then you actually have the Slimer animatronic coming at you, which I thought was really nice. And then you had, you know, what I think is really cool is the fact they had these... on some of the props, they had a little light, string of lights coming out, you know, rope lights coming out. That made it look like, you know, the photon blasters actually shooting out, you know, taking down these ghosts. I thought that was a really cool practical effects. And then you kept on going. You know, of course, you have the demon dogs running around, which I thought that was really cool. I thought that the whole gate scene was very well done. You know, hyperimposed. That was really nice. And then the coup d'etat. The thing I'm going to talk about, this is the ending. This is how, you know, again, how much do I love Ghostbusters? Mr. Stay Puft. Mr. Stay Puft. Love Mr. Stay Puft. I love that dude. I love the character. I know I probably just hurt your eardrums, and I'm so friggin' sorry. However, I love Mr. Stay Puft, and the scenes that they have Mr. Stay Puft were amazing. You know, you have him stamp like, oh, and then you're like, and then, you know, of course, he starts to explode. And then when he does explode, you walk on to the next scene, and there's, like, marshmallows. And I swear I remember smelling marshmallows. I do remember smelling marshmallows. And there's a guy standing there, and he's like, hey, we came, we saw, and we kicked butt, or something like that. You know, it's one of the ending statements. And, of course, when he walked to the end, you had Slimer, who would scare you at the very end, which I thought that was really nice. But, you know, again, just in general, you felt like you were in the movie. You know, they had all the scenes, they had all the scares. I actually got scared. I felt like it was very wholesome. I thought that it was very clean, well done. There's nothing that really stood out to me as, yeah, he could have done more. Yeah, he could have done less. I think that it was pretty much exactly standard of what I was expecting to see with Ghostbusters, you know, with Killer Clowns from Outer Space. And these were two IPs that I think were very well executed and very well done in general. And I'm kind of hyping these up before we get to the last bit. But, you know, it's like, I think that in general, the, you know, Ghostbusters, you know, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, they both had a story. They both utilized that story. And they both really worked on it and really made sure that you felt as if you were in the movie. But there were scares. There were thematics. You actually felt like you were in the hallways. You know, you actually felt like you were seeing the ghosts. Everything felt really real. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Moving away from this, we're going to start off by saying Yeti, Terror of the Yukon. I just started off with that. Okay. You have to understand. Yeti, Terror of the Yukon. Originally, it was a part of, what was it called? It was like Cinema, oh man, what was it? It was like Cinema, whatever it was. It was you were in a drive-in, and, you know, it was hinted at there, actually, which I thought was really nice. And then, of course, they announced it with Yeti, Terror of the Yukon. And, you know, people talk about how bad Halloween Horror Nights 2019 was. This right here was the best haunted house in that whole entire event. This is the best, and I'm actually going to take my time with this because I want to show you guys what I mean when I say when you have theming, a story, and scares, and if you blend it right, you got Halloween Horror Nights, Yeti, Terror of the Yukon. When you start on off, of course, it's hot outside. but they got the AC cranked inside. So you walk on in and it's like a snowy scene. You know, there's snow bounded up and there's like this little wooden shed that you walk into. And it actually felt like you're in the snowy tundra. You actually felt like it was cold. It was nippy, you know, and it was like, damn, you're actually in the movie. So you walk on into the woods. There's a Yeti right there ready to attack you. Then there's a guy shooting. He's like, what's going on? You know, what's happening? And so you meander on through a little bit, and then you come into this little cabin where this guy's already pinned up. Then there's a guy at a table, and then a Yeti comes out to attack him. And as you're walking through this little camp, you know, fort area, you're seeing, you know, the destruction, the chaos that the Yetis have brought. You know, they are ripping up people. They're tearing people limb by limb. They're all over the place. And, you know, there's nothing that humanity can do. So you eventually come to this canyon scene, right? And you're walking on through, and the first thing that happens is that this Yeti arm comes down in front of you. Like, trying to grab you, like, trying to grab your head. And you're sitting there like, oh my gosh, what the hell? You know, like, what is this? You've got Yetis up on the top, actually on a platform, looking at you, staring you down, scaring you from top. Then you have Yetis in the bottom scaring you. You see blood on the icicles. You see blood on the snow. And then you go into, like, you know, you keep on meandering, and there's Yetis all over the place. Another Yeti tries to grab you. There's so many Yetis. You can't even count them all. They're so freaking good. Like, the amount of detail, the amount of execution they did for the little, you know, you're walking through this canyon scene. You have all these things happening. It was so freaking in depth. And then you finally are in, like, this, you know, ice cave. You're walking through, you see Yetis all over the place. Then you come to the end, and there's a Yeti to scare you on out. Let me tell you, that thing was spectacular. You had a sound, you had everything. You had a story. You know, the settlers come on out. You know, they have these cabins set up, and then someone somewhere must have spooked the Yeti, because the Yetis come out, and they come out in full force to attack this whole entire camp. Well, not really a camp. It's more like a little village, I guess, or a fort. But, you know, it's just like, this is such a beautiful, very well executed attraction. I thought this was amazing. I thought the layout, the design, the use of special effects, everything was just beautiful. There was nothing that I can say that I could point at and say, oh yeah, that was bad. You know, I can't point out anything. Everything was executed well. You know, you had excellent set pieces. There's one point where you feel like you're in a fire, you know, like the cabin's on fire, which it's not, but, like, it's very cool. It's very effective. I think that overall, you know, when you talk about something like Yeti Terror of the Yukon, which I used to call Yukon Yeti, just as a pseudonym. Excuse me. But, you know, it's kind of like the whole entire event, the whole entire attraction is really nice. It's really good. I enjoy it. I love it. And I think that stands as a testament to Halloween Horror Nights in general. You know, Halloween Horror Nights, it has the theming. It has the effects. Last year was themed to an arcade. Alongside, you know, Stranger Things. They have an arcade that they go to in Stranger Things. So it's kind of themed around that. And I thought that was really cool. I love the synthwave effects. I love synthwave in general. I thought it was really nice. And of course, you know, I'm walking around and I'm seeing, like, all these individuals walking around. There's all these old arcade games. I thought it was really cool. I thought it was really exciting. I'm already a huge fan of, you know, just arcades in general and synthwave culture. So something like this was really up my alley. And I'm not going to say that any of the other houses were bad. I mean, I enjoyed Nightingales. I enjoyed Deep Depths. You know, I enjoyed every single house they had. Even though, you know, House of Thousand Corpses is, you know, give or take, I wasn't really a huge fan of the movie, but, you know, it is what it is. But just in general, I absolutely loved the event. I thought it was amazing. I thought that was well executed. I think that the theming was spectacular. I don't see any issues at all. But in general, that's my haunt review. That's the haunts that I love and enjoy. I think I could take this last few minutes here, just kind of briefly discuss what exactly is my personal how I rank things. Number one, when you talk about theming, it's the amount of theming. It's the level of theming. Do I actually feel like I'm in the scene? Do I actually feel like this person could attack me? It's very intricate, very detailed, very design heavy, and it works with the area. You can't go too heavy with theming. You have to do right level. Because if you have way too much, then, you have to go through it several times to even get the frickin' story itself, which moves on my next point, story. Just simply put, go on in and tell me a decent story. Show me, what happened, why people are like this, how people are like this, what's the issue, what's the problem, what's the scenario, what's the major conflict, and if you can't show that by giving me a haunt, if you can't show that by giving me scares and thematics, then we got an issue. We got a major problem. Then lastly, just in general, overall scares. A lot of haunts don't really do a lot on the scare. It's like, oh, boo. It's like you turn a corner, boo. Universal doesn't do that. They actually come at you at different angles. I think that a lot of haunts, if they're to have different angles, then I think that I would be great. But the issue is the fact that when you go and look at a haunt like Kings Island or Cedar Point even, I don't really get scared that often. But Halloween Horror Nights, not Scary Farms, I do get scared. I've gotten, I might get a few, but when I go to Halloween Horror Nights or Knott's, I'm actually screaming at some point. So I'm like, oh, whoa, how, whoa, wow. That becomes a big, giant, point. By the way, sorry, I'm getting a lot of notifications on the side from one of my Discords, so if I'm, stopping for a second and looking, that's the reason why. I originally had it turned off to Do Not Disturb, but for some reason my notification's still coming through. But, in general, I think that if you're not a haunt fan yet, if you haven't been out to the haunts, if you haven't been to Not Scary Farms or Universal Studios Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando, definitely go and check it out. I think that it's well worth the price. I think it's well worth the money. Definitely get yourself the Fast Pass for Universal Studios Halloween Horror Nights. We waited in maybe a max line of 30, 45 minutes when the rest of the lines were horrendous. So, and just in general, I think that if you go, definitely pick up some merchandise. I got my own merch haul. I got myself a few cups. I got myself a hoodie, which I absolutely adore. In fact, I'm probably going to be wearing my hoodie today because it's a little bit colder today. But with that being said, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this. What is your favorite theme park haunt? Post it down in the comments down below. If you guys haven't already, go and check us out on all of our socials. That is our Facebook, our Twitter, our Instagram, our Discord. We are going to be active on all those. I know that the Twitter has been a little bit inactive. We're going to be picking that up here real soon. Don't worry about that. But I do want to mention the fact that if you haven't already, definitely go and check it out because we're going to be posting some really cool photos on our Instagram. We're going to be posting some really cool stuff on our Facebook, really cool stuff on our Twitter. On our Discord, we have an amazing community. We'd love to have you there. We have a voice chat. We have a text chat. So where you can go and talk about theme parks, water parks, and holiday events. It is really spaced. It's very clean. It's very ornate. We do have a rules section that we ask you that you adhere to. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Stay tropical, and we'll see you guys in the next one.